Alex from Alton, President Senior Senator of town. And I want to talk a little bit about the impact on seniors. We're an aging community here in Dauphin. And a lot of the people actually have moved in the rural area. They made a big decision as they ended their farming life to move into the city because it's more comfortable. And so then all of a sudden, you know, they've done all this checklist. This is the time we're going to leave the farm, move into the city, and we're going to be comfortable here for a while. And then they lose a partner or whatever, and they're on their own. There they are, making another checklist because their kids are saying, Mom, you gotta get out. You know, one of them home, you can't stay at home by yourself anymore. And so there's a checklist, right? One of the things they're gonna have to check on that checklist now is, will I be able to walk out and get home home? That answer is no, that's just another tick. And what does that do to us as a community when you can't stay in your own home? And where was the consultation of us? It didn't happen. You know, this corporation that we grew up with, Canada Post, man, like, I mean, we lived as seniors now. I mean, there was no email, there was no computer. And for some of us, there still isn't. When people say, you know, emails, that's where everybody's going. Well, I can tell you that most of my members of the senior center don't do emails. So they communicate by writing letters. That's what they grew up with. That's what they're familiar with. Maybe the next generation, that's what it might be, but not this generation. You know, and then there's also the economic impact. What's the impact of losing a bunch of postal workers who make good money in our community and our businesses? What's that impact across the country when you're losing like, I don't know how many postal workers will you lose at the end of the farm? 100,000, 200,000?
About 8,000.
Throughout after the 5 years?
Like 8,000 in the
jobs?
Yeah. That's 8,000
well, that's
jobs.
Not a lot of jobs.
It is.
You know, when we're talking about an economy that you're supposed to be creating jobs, and you as a government or as a crown corporation are actually cutting instead of creating jobs, that's a fundamental problem. That's not the norm. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Alex. Those are excellent points. Yeah, and that 8,000 jobs is estimated to be lost. If you look at a place like Dauphin, which has a high density of door-to-door delivery, you're probably looking at losing half the letter carriers in Dauphin. So those are good jobs that are being lost in the community. Okay, I got a mic person volunteered, and there's a number of people over there.
Let's start. Hold your hands up again. We'll start this way.
I have a couple of questions. I would like to make a comment, first of all. I know I'm much older than Eric Irving. Because not only do I remember when there was no remote control for the TV, I can even remember when there wasn't a TV. In fact, he probably doesn't realize it, but I can remember the first time my dad ever bought a radio, and it was battery operated. Hydro didn't have anything to do with it. I have a question. Actually, there's two questions. And you were talking about sending the MP letters. Does the post office get reimbursed for what the government sends out for free?
I believe that they do somewhat, but not completely. You've got to look at a lot of information and regulations. It appears that there is some sort of slight balancing that goes on over that, but I wouldn't say that. Certainly, they don't pay as much for their free stuff as what you pay for staff.
The next question that I have, and I think your statistics are a little misleading when you say that 71% of the people in Manitoba get door-to-door delivery service. If you were to take Winnipeg out of that mix, what would that percentage drop down to?
That could take some figuring in terms of what that would be.
I know.
But Winnipeg is very high in door-to-door delivery, as would be Dauphin and Brandon and Portage. When you take Winnipeg out and you look at Dauphin, Brandon, and Portage, then you're also looking at the rural areas where there isn't door-to-door service. So if you do it community by community though, you'll find that like Manitoba, Brandon, Winnipeg, Portage, and Brandon would, those four communities that have, there's also some in the north, Flin Flon and Thompson that have door delivery. But those communities, because of the fact that they've been long-standing communities, it's a very high percentage there. Whereas if you take, for example, Calgary, they have a higher percentage of group mailboxes because if you're in a house that was built within the last 30 years, you tend to be in group mailboxes, and they've had, a lot of growth there.
My last question, and I'll leave, I could be here all night, but how many break-ins, like we have community post boxes here, how many break-ins have we had in Dauphin in the community post boxes?
Okay. I don't know if anyone knows the answer to that that's here. I don't. I can tell you that we've got numerous examples in Edmonton, DC. There's a lot. There's been
Yeah,
some
but those
Ontario.
guys are west of here. Manitobans are all on us.
Well, that's the problem. That's what we're getting to. Thanks for the questions. They're very good.
Frank Carlson, he would know.
Yeah.
We probably could check with management, but they chose not to show up, so we could have answered that.
This is when you should get this. Like, are you scared to walk in front? You don't want me to do it?
I have a couple of questions.
What do I do?
One
Just
of them
just
is
hold it
in the middle
follow-up
frame,
on
yeah.
this idea of petition. If our signing of petitions carries any clout at all, is there any plan from the powers that be to get petitions going in all our community, not just down our street and so on and so forth, but is there a plan throughout our province to get petitions going in our cities, our towns, and
Hope
our
you don't mind.
villages? And if so, how soon? How soon
Thanks.
can we sign these? My other question is, this is a nice orange
Thanks,
poster.
man.
Would I be breaking any MPI rules if I put that in my car? So that everybody in town can see it as I travel around?
You guys have great questions, but I don't think you should put it in your front window. Okay?
But if I just put it in my window in the house, it's only people on the street and the postal service that's gonna see it.
Yeah, I would, I checked with MPI.
They have
because I'm
bumper
not an expert
stickers.
on it, But if you put it in the back window,
Yeah.
it certainly would be very, I think you can do that. But I think you better check with them, because I'm not an expert on those. Yeah, so I
That is
would
your
look back.
property.
Dashboard?
Everyone seems to think that's probably okay. It's best to check with them.
We could
In terms of
we
your
could make
question about
bumper
petitions,
stickers.
Yeah.
very good question. Actually, these petitions have been out for the last, since really, it's just a matter of, in some places, people haven't been asked yet. So, but I know that in Edmonton and some places, we've got already tens of thousands of signatures. So we're continuing with petitions. But the other thing I want to let you know is that, they have a system of evaluating, and a petition means something. A handwritten letter means even more. A direct letter, such as the one that's prepared, but given that it's a form letter, doesn't mean as much as a handwritten letter when you send it to a member of parliament. So if you really want to have an impact, and I know I've sat down with some people and actually they've handwritten out the letters that they want to send to their MPs, that has a huge effect. Because then they saw that you took the time